I'm Tim Ventura, and we're joined today by Malak Trabelsi Loeb, a senior legal consultant specializing in international business, space, and artificial intelligence law. Ms. Loeb is the founder and managing director of Vernewell Management Consultancies, a multidisciplinary firm headquartered in the UAE with a mission to catalyze innovation and lead humanity towards becoming a multiplanetary species. She has a master's in public, international, and European law, as well as a master's in international business law with a focus on commercial space law from Sorbonne University in Abu Dhabi, and studies in artificial intelligence with implications for business strategy from the MIT Sloan School of Management. She also sits on the board of directors at the Cybersecurity Global Alliance and joins us today to discuss the business and legal ramifications of emerging space and AI technologies. So Malak, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me apologize for mispronouncing your name, which I know that I did. I can't apologize enough for that. I want to start with your background. What motivated you to transition from a career in traditional law into the emerging space and AI sectors?
Thank you so much for the introduction, and my name pronunciation is perfect. There's no problem with that at all.
Oh, wonderful.
And thank you so much. Thank you for having me also. And there are so much to speak about when we talk about the transition or the switch from one's, let's say, the practice, the legal practice, which is the traditional legal practice, into, first of all, space law. When I started practicing, and I was speaking to my peers and my colleagues that I want to specialize in space law, actually, they were laughing at me. They were lawyers for many, many years. And at that time, they were like, what will you do entering into that sector and conducting that practice? At that time, space wasn't as today. Today, we speak so much about new space. At that time, it wasn't as such. The last few years, starting from the 2019, we see that space has become mainstream. It wasn't it wasn't like before. So today we see, even in science in the streets, we see space related pictures, we see arts in space, and space is something is used also for commercials, and big companies that are using, even in cosmetics, they are using that space idea around space exploration. So at that time, I was in studying. I keep on studying all the time, and studying and practicing law in law firms. And I got into the space industry through a project. And from there, I got so much in love with space sustainability. As so many of the audience, probably they came across my profile and what I do around the internet. If they are also interested in disruptive technologies and space, they would see that I come up with disruptive ideas, of ideas that make you think and question. Probably we will not have answers to them, and we don't have answers for now, but it gives the possibility to reflect and think. So the idea of space sustainability at that time, even before it becomes mainstream also, and before we start speaking so much about space debris or space junks or space trash, some people they call it, which is what everyone it's the easiest. It's like you have trash on Earth and you have trash also in space. So that's the space debris question. And I was like thinking, what if we have big issues related to what we are living on Earth, with the oceans are full of problems, issues of pollutions and so on. What if that would become the norm in space also? So I started talking about it, and also I have some peers and others who I look up to, who some of the big names, they were active since a long time ago about the problem of space debris. Then I said, this is what I want to like specialize in, probably in a way or another, because I'm not engineer to go and make a track of the space debris and everything. But from, first of all, practice, what can be the solution from my perspective, and what I am I specialized in, how can I help? What is the solution of that? So there are two solutions that I found. Is one through the commercial space actors who can reduce the issue of space debris and set special norms that it become the norm in space. Of course, through contractual means, and the other one through the space insurer who's able to do something or set a certain governance. And from there, I did my master thesis, and it was related to that. So all these factors got me into the space industry and got me into disruptive technologies like AI and others, and quantum technologies. And that transition wasn't over one night. It was a lot of work, a lot of research.
Yeah. Well, and it's I think it's incredibly timely to be interested in space sustainability. You know, I recently read that we're basically forming a ring of space debris around the Earth. I mean, we have a ring almost like Saturn, right? Except that it's more spread out. And I think I think it was definitely foresight that you started to specialize in space sustainability before anyone else was talking about it. But what intrigued me was, and you mentioned this a moment ago, space insurance. And when I read about that, I immediately thought, of course, that's going to be a necessary part of commercial space enterprise. And it's something that I have never heard of or read about in the past. So what brought you to the insurance part of things?
So I go back to my previous answer, which I touched upon that subject. What brought me is I got into a project that it was my part of the work was very, very small, related to some conflict of law rules that I needed to do the risk mitigation and to study that and give a report to the people who were in the project. So then I said, well, because a part of my practice is international private or international business law, and conflict of law, it can be a problem in contractual issues, and also when there is a international transaction, we do mitigate the risk, what if, and we do the scenarios to check exactly what is the best, like the applicable, what we choose as applicable law, and what is the best choice of law, and what is the worst case scenario can happen when there is a conflict, and which jurisdiction, which law is applicable, and so on.
Yeah.
So from there, I got into the project.
Now, if it's okay to ask, one of the things that I've noticed was as I understand things, your headquarters is in Dubai, in the UAE. And I wanted to ask, I know that Dubai it's becoming an international hub for commerce and exchange. Are there advantages to having that as a headquarters?
Of course. Yeah, it is a big advantage. First of all, the ecosystem is very attractive. A lot of startups and businessmen, big corporations, and whoever is looking for attractive ecosystem would target UAE. UAE within, like I speak from the law perspective, is very, very progressive. It's very open. Unlike a lot of people who are not probably in international business practice or in international settings, they do not know exactly how attractive is the legal system itself. So what I do is I raise awareness about it, and of course, a lot of people, they look for opportunities, incentives, funding opportunities. So they seek to enter into a UAE ecosystem, and also it's a hub, as you said. So if you want to deal between Far East, if you have any commercial activities, you are manufacturing, for example, in China or in other countries around, it's a hub. So you have your company here, and you are having access to everywhere in the world, of course. So I see that there are a lot of also blockchain folks coming from the blockchain ecosystem, cryptocurrency ecosystem. They are now coming and getting settled in UAE. It was very, very intriguing, because actually I did not see that before, and now they are moving and they are opening their offices here, whether a branch or their main place of business. So of course it's advantage for me to be here, but my work is international. It's not just for the UAE, it's international. It's not only related to UAE ecosystem.
Now, is it okay to ask about some of the key clients, technologies, and partners that you have at Vernewell? Can you, I'm sure that you have some that are confidential and proprietary, but can you share with us some of the keys that you work with there?
Actually, when there is a partner, and what I do is announce if they are partners that we are partner in specific projects, I announce. But most of the clients and people I advise, whether in the legal advisory or in the business advisory, I do not. It's not even related to the NDAs. I do not announce because of competition, because of being target to competitors, and not my competitors, but their competitors. So many are patented, and they have a lot of business secrets that it's separate than the patent itself. The others are not patented yet, so it's not to disclose.
A lot of confidential information, it sounds like.
Exactly. And today is that the new gold rush is data. It's data and it's technologies. So like you have, and I wrote about that also before, and I raised awareness about it, and I advise also when it comes to either legal or other advisory, is the risk of economic espionage. So it's something that it's on the loose today. So you have state actors are very active looking after technologies, disruptive technologies. And we know today, and I talk also about the national and international interest, we know that today the national interest, a part of it is disruptive technologies like AI. And here I stress on the fact that people are not aware when they try to make technology transfer from one country to another or jurisdiction to another. They need to be aware that there are some barriers, legal barriers, that the technology may be fallen under the national interest and cannot be transferred. So if they try to enter into contract without doing the due diligence for that, they will be retaliated and in big trouble.
Well, and again, these are some of the legal aspects of things that I think haven't been completely considered. And I think that's why it's so wonderful that you're specializing in this. Now, at the moment, in terms of law, it seems that space law is trailing a great distance behind technology. And that makes sense, right? We have to get there and we have to start to commercialize it before we can really figure out what the legislative challenges are. But as more nations and private interests begin commercial access to space, how do you see that profession growing?
The law profession is in the space arena is growing very, very fast. We see today it's not like before that the specialized masters, they are more than before, but still also law related to space activities. It's not very much out there as we would like to see it. For example, PhDs, there are some very, very good universities specialized in PhDs related to space law, but I don't see so many are specialized in the private, like the private sector, commercial space activities, and the law is related to that, private law. So there are some universities are specialized in that, but not many, and it needs to the profession to grow, it needs to have the capabilities, the human capacity that it's there. So how it can be there through education. So we need to go back to the educational, the educational criteria, and we try to see how we can bring awareness that universities are having more masters everywhere in the world. For example, if I speak about space studies in general, even including engineering, and including other areas of space studies. In Africa, it's a big problem. We don't have enough. We don't have enough specialized university or curriculum that they are specialized for space. So in order to have capability, we need to have educational background, and that goes back to the governmental entities who need to put that into consideration, because space is crucial today for everything, the normal life, communication, and also national interests and international interests. And that's why cybersecurity is important.
Well, yeah, and I was going to come to that in a moment, because again, that's a more recent endeavor of yours. But in addition to space, you also have, you mentioned this earlier, advanced studies in artificial intelligence from MIT Sloan. And again, the thing that makes this for me so exciting was not only do you have the artificial intelligence, but you have a business focus on it, right? Which is something that most people have no idea of. So I wanted to ask about that from a business perspective and from a legal perspective. What are some of the things that you see coming up with artificial intelligence?
First of all, for me, is like in addition to my legal studies as per the way how we perceive it, and we take I mean, we go to universities and we do our studies, is not enough in terms of technologies. The legal studies are not it's not focusing on the tech part of it, because actually also it's lagging. So in that manner is like in order to be advanced and to touch upon and have certain expertise within the legal arena, not the technological arena, because I will never say I'm expert in AI or expert in quantum. I'm far away to be like that, because it's a lifelong learning in order to say I'm a subject matter expert in that kind of technology and so on. But it's helping me to understand the legal implication. It helps me also to understand the business implication, which is very, very important, because it's very, very important, the strategy side of the implementation of technology in a certain business, because there are a lot of case studies shows that so many expenditure of implementing the AI, for example, into a company to have competitive advantage. Actually, it gave them the opposite way, because they put a lot of money on investments into that, and at the end of the day they did not utilize it as it should be, but the opposite. Because if you have a tool and you using the tool, actually it's not going to give you the competitive edge, it will give you the opposite than that. So it's very, very important to understand the technology as it's a mean in order to make exponential development, or to make an exponential growth. And that's why it was important for me to understand the implication of AI in the business, in order also to help my clients to give the proper advice when it comes to business advisory. Because actually I started my business a long time ago. My first company was in 2006, and I had multinational let's say activities. It grew up to 30% in 2 years, 30 employees in 2 years, and it was very, very big company, general trading and other activities, supply of hotels and so on. So I started before the legal thing. So with the combining the legal and the business, I had to get into the technology to understand its application in the business arena.
Yeah, yeah. Now, in terms of artificial intelligence, one of the most recent headlines has been about Google Lambda, right? And I'm sure that you've read that. But what intrigues me about that is it seems like as AI continues to develop and increase in capabilities, it's becoming more human. It's possibly sentient. There was some debate about that. And it seems like it's beginning to touch on some really large legal concerns also, right? And so one of those is if the AI asks not to be turned off, does it have any rights to continue, right? And these are deep moral and ethical implications, but they also, these will be answered by law. So do you have any thoughts on those topics?
For me, the AI implication on on the ethical side or the ethical side of AI, it is something that I started addressing it for some time, maybe 4 years ago, and also the problem of the AI being sentient to have the right as human rights, and it's
Yeah.
debatable also. And the thing is, like, when we talk about the ethical side, there are different applications of AI, and the application of these applications on different area, I'm gonna go to even national security when we talk about deep fakes. Okay, it's a big problem because it adds misinformation, disinformation, replication of big leaders, and having problems within the country, and it would touch the national security. And of course, why I speak about national security, because national security is very, very important. It's one of the function of the state is to keep the national security, which will have implication on the international security also. So it's the AI, as any other technologies, can be like a tool of exponential growth for humanity, and can be a tool also of our doomsday in a way or another. And I hate to say that, but it's true, because once the AI becomes sentient with the way how humans are acting and functioning, it's going to be a battle. So the AI is going to be sentient, and how it is reasoning, the sense of reason of AI, it will be different than human, because we have our part of the individual influence of our decisions, which will not, I think, be the same to the AI.
Yeah.
So the battle is going to be who's going to have the most sound judgment on a specific situation when one of us will act, and how is going to be confrontation against each other. So here we go further than just the legal application of the AI. For example, a car based on artificial intelligence is going to hit someone in the street because it has probability, and the way it was programmed, and if it becomes sentient, it will be thinking in a way or another that it is a decision need to be making. But actually, what about the essence of our existence as human facing the AI?
Yeah.
So it's bigger.
And a moment ago, you were talking about, I believe they call it a double bind situation with the AI car. And actually, I'd heard about this a few days ago, and the way that it was framed to me was, you may have a circumstance where an AI car has to make a decision about where if it's going to prioritize the lives of its passengers inside of it, right? Or if it's going to prioritize the life of perhaps a pedestrian on the street, right? And there are lots and lots of variations on this, but then the challenge became, how do you prioritize those? And how would a person prioritize? And in this case, I got into a discussion with a person online. Now, I feel that human society already prioritizes that, right? I mean, we tend, at least I believe we should, we put the lives of women and children ahead of men, And so I think that an AI car, if it had to make decisions like that, things like that should be taken into account, is how do we prioritize ourselves? But it does bring up some very, very interesting questions. And these are all legal questions, right? Because it could go to court later on and they would say, how did the car decide? What did it decide? And if the pedestrian was not involved, how is a car making life and death decisions about a pedestrian's life?
So if we go to the law itself and how it will be the case or the problem will be judged or seized in front of the court of law, we need to check what is the law exactly. It's applicable in that situation. And the law is a man-made law, actually. So the law always, it's never static, it changed. It follows the culture, the legal culture. It follows also the happening of within the society. It follows also the principle of within a certain society. And the principle, the legal principle, they are there, and they are built on specific noble principle, justice, and but the problem is the change when it happened, when we are not the center of the universe, when we have a sentient being with us, that human has a sentient robots who become a thinker, who feel, so it's different. In that case, my question is how humanity will change its principle based on giving some of its right toward the other sentient opponent, toward the robots who is having the same feeling and everything like us. So of course it's not now, but it will happen one day, and we see it in sci-fi, and also it's questioning. We question that, for example, today we talk to Siri, answer us. So in a way or another, there is responsiveness. So what if this responsiveness is going to a next level, that it's not only responsiveness, it's also, we will be responsive at that case, the opposite way around. How the law will change, how it will be, and what is the future of law practice and judges and everything. Today we see that the way how conflicts are resolved, it tends to go toward arbitration. So it reduces and undermines in certain situation, the judge position and the court position and the state's position. So you have different forums who are solving conflicts. And insurance, for example, they have also their own, in certain cases, when we sign the contract, in different cases, they have the authority also to solve the issues, the conflicts within arbitration that they are choosing, and so on. So here we come also to another point, is how private actors are having the same, in a way or another. And this is what I worked on my thesis for the insurance, space insurance, that it has the authority to share some of the the nation states function in a way or another, because it makes surveillance, it makes conflict resolution, so it replaces the court, and it has incentives, and we need to abide by the insurance, what we signed for in the beginning, because otherwise we're going to be retaliated from the insurance itself. So you see that the way how things are not the same, and I keep on progressing, and it's not the same. So if I say that the state to someone who's not into political science, and try to explain to him this, he will not understand that private actor, they are acting in a way or another closer to a nation state or to government in a certain level.
Okay. It does. It sounds like a very complex interplay of many different competing interests, I guess. And that's law in a nutshell, right? It's finding that middle path that tries to make everybody as happy and abides by the rules. So
Exactly.
Well, Malak, thank you so much for your time today. I can't thank you enough. It has been a true honor and privilege to have you on.
Thank you so much.
I guess I should close by asking, what comes next for you? Where can we look to see you next in the headlines?
Vernewell Academy will be opening by the end of the year. So it's going to be space technologies and some other disciplines. And it will be dedicated from to kids, to different audience, from kids up to peers, and executive courses, workshops, and so on. It will be from astronomy to quantum to the things that I love so much.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and hopefully we should come back and we should touch on quantum another time, perhaps. But so let's try and do that. We'll get you scheduled for that. But Malak,
Thank you.
thank you yet again, ma'am. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you
day.
so much. Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.